may have had a pet animal at some point of our life. And most of us would have experienced the loss of that pet as well. How does that affect our emotions, our feelings, our relationships, and our reflections? To talk about that, here is the Humanitas program in conversation with Udesh Fernando. Udesh Fernando has lost a pet, and he will tell us his story. Over to you, Prasad. Welcome, Udesh Fernando, to the Humanitas program. We welcome you on behalf of the Faculty of Medicine, the Department of Medical Humanities, Humanities, Society and Professionalism stream. Udesh, tell us your story with Scooby-Doo.
Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Santosh. I'm really happy to share this story, and probably the first time I'm sharing this story with a big audience. So this itself is a good opportunity, maybe to, I don't know, maybe to, like have a pause to my grief. I mean, when I reflected, I again felt some, sensations, emotions about the whole incident. But then I assume telling this story would also help me in some way. So to tell me a bit about myself, I'm Udesh Fernando. My academic background is international relations. I have a MSc from Royal Holloway University of London. Currently, I work at the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement attached to the Sarvodaya Institute of Higher Learning, and I am in the position of director programs at the Sarvodaya Institute. So to immediately jump into the story of my pets, I think since childhood, we've always had pets in our family, dogs, rabbits, pet birds, and also fish. The pet I'm going to talk about is Tyson. Tyson was a Great Dane. He actually came to us when he was 1 year old, quite odd to a usual pet scene, this is a big dog. This is just the type Shaggy has on Scooby-Doo, right? The Scooby-Doo pet. So it's a big dog, and he was a bit ferocious as well. He was not the typical Scooby-Doo type you see on a cartoon, a bit ferocious, a lot of attention seeking and so on. Then we were also in great doubt whether he will, fit to this new environment, new family, because he was already he was 1 year old. So anyway, soon as Tyson came to our lives, I think I was emotionally so touched by this whole new incoming pet to us. The last part of Tyson with us, I think he frequently got fevers as well, and I thought, if I remember right, he was also diagnosed with filaria for some reason. So he showed different signs, but then there was also this tender care. I mean, whenever he goes down, but then he again frequently, like his sick rest would just be like 1 or 2 days, and he jumps back, so this was the whole, the lead to the death. And this particular date, Tyson passed away in this evening. The conference was in progress at the auditorium. And then I remember one of my friends who was not even invited to this this conference turned up and then asked me to come out. I remember the whole scene. And then he came out and then he said, let's go out. There's no need for you to stay here. And then I figured out that he's also spoken to my boss. I remember I immediately went down just in front of the auditorium. There's this parking bay, and then I immediately sat down, pulled my shirt out, and then I just couldn't take it. I just couldn't take that immediate reaction. So I remember coming from Colombo to Casbah, it took about 1.5 hours. in a tuk-tuk. I remember my mother taking me to the canal because he was lying on the canal, just lying down in a rested leg, seated position. That was it. And then I remember I went and pat him. I was shaking him, asking him to wake up, that I'm here, don't worry, and all that. And then I was breaking down further. So they were digging the pit, so I can hear the pit being dug, and then I was just hugging the dog, the dead body, the corpse, and crying and crying and crying and crying. And then at one point I gave up. And so many people, my family especially, tried to like come to me, speak with me, but then nothing worked. Nothing really worked. And then weirdly, I found this. This this is a soft toy my brother got on a Sri Lankan Airlines flight. This was hanging around. This was on his table, if I'm right. And then I spotted this on his table, and I immediately got attached to this pet toy. Maybe this was my uh, just the alternative for my dog, and the immediate reaction of missing him. And I am not one of those kids who loved teddy bears. I had so many toys. I had a lot of teddy bears, but I never had that sleeping with a teddy bear, going to bed with a teddy bear and all that. And this was very weird because I was uh, maybe I was like 20, 23, 24, 25, I don't know. So that was pretty much my story with Tyson. And then the other thing was immediately, like in a month or so, everyone was proposing that we get a new dog. I think this is pretty common, right? Especially human wise. Grieving partners, people grieving for their partners, loved ones, especially if you have a partner, you're more likely to be proposed to new partners or introduced to new partners. But I mean, not maybe in a month's time, but then maybe when it's settled, immediate reaction of any of my friends who are parents would also to be bring a new pet, to add a new pet to the family. But then I always said no, I don't want a new pet at all. And there was that resistance as well, because I think my mourning, my grieving was so high and long. I really didn't want to accept another reality, another pet in my life, because it was a shock. But then eventually I also did things like framing the dog's picture, keeping it at different places. I think I have like I had like 4 versions. I only have this left now. I had like 4 versions of different standing poses kept at different places, at my father's office, on the piano, on my room, just hung up on my bed, and so on.
If I may ask you, how did this processing the grief of losing Tyson change you? Did it change you?
I think it changed me because I am someone who's frequently reading, and then I also read on death, as well as read the different philosophical material from different traditions. So death is surely part of almost all the philosophies, right? From the European ones, the great East Asian traditions, to South Asia. So I think losing Tyson, I think I had this realization that everything is impermanent. By the way, I'm not a Buddhist, but then I was reading on this Buddhist material. But then I really felt this sense of things are impermanent, the philosophies of losing, and then that everything is temporary, and so on. And weirdly, the other thing is, now I've had relatives passing away, my grandparents passing away, and other close friends, very close relatives passing away. I never had that feeling. I never had this long period of mourning, a long period of grief, and so on. Brought this weird sense after his death, brought this weird sense of loneliness, and at the same time, I don't know, companionship, things on companionship, how I approach friends, how I make trust and connections with friends. I think everything changed for the good, I think. But then I also realized the fact that you have to go through your uh, own grief in your own pace, your own time, no matter who advises you. But then they all always mean well, right? People try to help you when you grieve and mourn, to help you, not to put you down. But then all sorts of those help has not worked either. Now, one book I just finished was a book on grief. Uh, it's okay not to be okay, from the famous Megan Devi. It's a very radical narrative of, it's not the ordinary psychosocial approach to mourning and grief therapy. She says we have to deal with the reality, and that is exactly what I felt with the passing away of my dear pet dog. I had to take my own time. I had to take my own remedies, things other people didn't prescribe. And then eventually, go about it and then come into terms with my own self in realizing and, moving forward.
Udesh Fernando, thank you so much for opening your heart and sharing your memories about Tyson and your journey with him. So from the Department of Medical Humanities, Humanities Society and Professionalism Stream, a big thank you and a big virtual hug to both you and Tyson wherever he is. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Dr. Santusha. It's a pleasure to share this experience. I thought this was therapeutic as well, just sharing this story.
Yes, thank you very much.
So that was Udesh Fernando. Udesh Fernando has joined us here at Humanitas. Thank you, Udesh, for your perceptions. Some very interesting and some reflective thoughts about grief and how it applies to life, how animals help us through this journey of processing our emotions and shaping our relationships. A very, very interesting conversation there with Udesh. Udesh is right there. But we will take questions and answers from all of our panel.